Unfortunately, sometimes our families get the rest of us instead of the best of us, don't they? Hello, my friend. If you're new here, my name's Zach, and I know you want to give your best to your family. And I want to give my best to my family too. But if I'm honest, there's oftentimes I come in at the end of my day and they get scraps. They get the reactive, argumentative version of me, or the shut down and exhausted version. But we won't want to settle for that, do we? And I've been working on some things, and when I implement these, they get the best version of me, and your family will get the best version of you. So here's 5 tips so that your family can get your best, because that's what they deserve. Number 1, God-powered. It's not by our strength. Any proof of that, just look at our lives, right? We come in, and when we're doing it on our own strength, we're going to like man up, and I'm going to take on this day, and then I'm like a little baby by the end of it. But when God is powering my day, in those moments, I walk out the fruits of the Spirit. I'm a man that is peaceful and joyful and loving, and I know you are too. But it is really easy to disconnect from the vine. See, the Bible says that He is the vine and we are the branches, and apart from Him, we can do nothing. And I wish that had a little like picture with it of the branch, like walking away, because that's what happens. We get stuck in the worries and cares of our day, and those live with us and stay with us, and we're plugged into those rather than God. And so before I get into any other points, I would be remiss to not remind you over and over and over again that apart from Him, we can't do it. We only have so much willpower in the tank before it's empty. And so some of these tips, I'm going to teach you how I connect back into that vine, because I desperately need Him. Number 2, turn the key. All right, this one I learned from a seasoned entrepreneur, and I put my spin on it of God powered with it. So let's dive into what it is. So I was talking, let's just be real. I was complaining about my job and how hard it was to shut it off, and how, I was bugged all night and I couldn't sleep and all. It was really a whine fest, which I have perfected as a craft. And this seasoned entrepreneur is like, it sounds like it's more you than your job. Ouch. And he said, Zach, that used to happen to me too. And now I turn the key. Here's what it is. When you leave your work, you turn the key of your car on. And when you turn that key, you picture for a second that you are turning off work and you are turning on your family. And vice versa. When you leave in the morning and you're leaving your house, you're turning off the family life and you're turning on the work life. Because here's the thing. We are often thinking about home at work and thinking about work at home. We love to be where we are not, where our feet are not planted. We love to think about the other things. But when we turn the key, it gives us a chance. And so in that moment, you can go, what do I need to go back in there and finish so that I can lay that down? See, because there's been times I've walked out to my car and I'm thinking of this task. And see, the old version of me used to go, I'll do it tomorrow. And then I'm thinking about that dumb task all night. And instead, sometimes I went back and taken the 10 minutes to finish up or to have a conversation I needed to have. But something that I've elevated that with that's really helped me is when I turn the key, when I'm switching from one task to the other, I stop and I ask God, what do I need to let go of? See, it's in those moments that the Holy Spirit reveals things that I'm clinging to instead of Him. And I got a list of them. And I know you do too, because if you've lived for 2 seconds, you got worries. And our worries can take up so much brain space that there's not much God space, which leads me to number 3. anxiety training. Look, when you turn that key, there's going to be some things that are in your mind that are tasks you need to go complete. But there's going to be other things that are worries and cares, calling those anxiety. And we can give those to God, but first, what we need to do is we need to notice that that's what it is, that it's not a task that needs to get done, that it's not a problem to be solved, but it's anxiety under the surface. And then we need to name what it is that's making us anxious. Is it a conversation that went sideways and you're worried what they thought of you? Is it you're worried that there's not going to be more sales coming in if you're a business owner? You know, there was a season right around COVID that was me. I needed to lay down that God cared for my business. And for me, more importantly, and that if I had worries, He was covering them. See, for you, what's taking up your brain space? What is it that's weighing you down? See, I can work long hours and not be fazed. Frankly, it doesn't bug me. A concern or worry that's occupying my brain 24/7 is awful, exhausting. And that's often what happens when I show up and I'm reactive to others, as I got this anxiousness in the background. So notice it and name it. You know, sometimes that's enough. We notice, we name it, we give it to God, and that'll subside it enough. But what you're going to know is some things, not all the time, but sometimes you're going to notice, name it, give it to God, and you're still weighed down. And so for those moments, we're going to go to number 4, which is that you need to fill yourself up. So here's how you can fill yourself up. You're going to be in places that fill you up. For you, what are those places? I love the country. I love being by the water or walking in the forest. Seeing God's beauty reminds me of all God's beauty. For you, it might be being in the city. You know, it might be being in a restaurant, just being around people. That might be something that's filling for you. And then who are people that fill you up? Not people you love. That list is going to be longer, but there's certain people that fill you, that you leave and you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to take on this world. You might need to be with some of those people. And the third one is, what are activities that fill you up? What are things that when you're done doing them, you feel refreshed? It's not just things you like. See, there's some things I like. I like watching Oregon Ducks. That's the college I went to. I like to watch them in football and basketball, but I don't leave those things energized. Sometimes I leave those things so worked up, more than what's healthy. Right? Those aren't an energizing thing. They are a fun thing, and I will do them, but when I'm exhausted and anxious, I need to do things that fill me. So for me, it's running or lifting weights. It's hunting or fishing. For you, what is it that fills you up? And what I want you to do, this is a lot of fun, is I want you to experiment. Do some things. Do some things. Check in with yourself afterwards. Do I feel filled? And that's how you will create a list. And I want you to write them down. Because when you are depleted and exhausted, your mind's going to go, nothing fills me up. And it's not true. And if you have the list, you can just start working through it. And a world that was once gray, all of a sudden has color back in it. That's how it is for me. I'm like, everything's meaningless. It's just, what's the point? And then I do some things that fill me up, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to take this next hill. You get bonus points. Who's counting? But apparently I am. You get bonus points if you can combine multiple things. Like if you can be in a place that fills you up, doing an activity that fills you up, with a person that fills you up. It's like a cocktail of goodness. And so I may or may not, I do, have a pole in my car. I actually have 2 just in case. And so if I have a hard day, I have fishing spots on the way home, and I might have to work a little late on my way home so that I give my family the best of me. There might be instances where you can't do that on your way home. And maybe you can do something real quick before you re-enter into your family. What we call that at my house is cave time. Dad needs some cave time real quick because I might be reactive with someone and I don't want to be. So make sure that you're filling them up. Number 5, do less. This, I'm sure, is very popular. Sarcasm is very much intended. I know that's not what you want to hear. But I find it's the reality that most people are doing too much. Too much that frankly doesn't matter. In fact, there's a business principle, and it's the Pareto principle. Here's what it says. 20% of your efforts produces 80% of your results. 20% of the things you do is contributing to 80% of the results in your life. So you can do less. I needed that permission. Like, I'm an achievement junkie. And that Pareto principle gave me permission to do less. So if you needed permission, you have it now. But what often happens is we'll do more and do more and do more until it's way too much. We're overloaded and ready to explode. And therefore, we explode on others. And that's part of why we get reactive. So if you do these 5 things, I guarantee you, you will give more of your best self to your family instead of the rest of you. Common practice on learning to do less and reminding ourselves we're God-powered and actually incorporating almost every single one of these things is our weekly Sabbath. My friend, if you're not doing a weekly Sabbath, you are missing out. It's one of the highlights of my week. So watch this video right here. I know it'll help you have a Sabbath and be part of the plan that gives the best of you to those you love. Have a great day, and God bless you in your journey.